So first of all, I just want to start off with every video say thank you God. Because the way we are validated, and I'm validated as this bottom face who's trying to create this psyop is ridiculous. It's scary. Listen, I make a lot of the same videos. If you watch any of my videos, you'll hear the same thing over and over and over. It's because as test subject in this program, they try to paint this fantasy of reality. At this point, you can hear in my videos that the validation of what this is about has been set beyond level. You've seen even how this purpose look like. I mean, for me, they thought that they could be involved in this program, and somehow I was going to dismiss the reality of what this is about. They really want you to dumb yourself down to the level they have to dumb themselves. Some of them are children, so they're already on the spectrum. Some of them are not children. A lot of them are not children. For me, like you see people here, they're just co-workers, people who employed you to try to create it, to participate and enjoy whatever they get out of it. There's incentives. Let me just say this. Let me introduce myself the way I need to introduce myself. You're going to hear the same introduction from other people, but I'm a target individual. What it means by being a target individual, it means that I'm being utilized as a test subject in a program where governmental entities are using some of the most sophisticated technology onto us and to develop this technology, which is a weapon onto us. They've been doing that for years, and they've been really developing this technology. It's extremely sophisticated. But the sophistication is not only in the technology, but also they have created an ecosystem of how to implement this technology. You're going to hear a lot of the same things where you hear neighbors involved, these people, employers involved, law enforcement involved. Like your whole ecosystem becomes this bubble of false reality. Right? And the people implementing this technology onto you are not like they're regular people. They're civilians that just implement it, but they are involved in this program and are contracted at some level, are employed in some level by these governmental entities. Another thing they love to do is to present a psyop, right? They make you believe this facade of a story. Oh my gosh, it's a comical reality. Is the reason why I'm saying it's comical is what we go through is going to be horror. For me, it's going to be horror. But the way they want you to be this dumbed down is a joke. It's a joke. They try to vilify it by any means, right? They try to make you look, oh, you're a threat. This is happening because we're making you pay for what you did. Oh, you can't. So for me, this joke it's so comical that some people say, no, you can't. We canceled you. You trash us. The things that have happened because of this program and who it has been done to is so crazy. First of all, I was put in this program by an organization that is super conservative. That today I can humiliate some of these perps here by saying first and last name of somebody. This is just for me. I enjoy saying that because I'm like, you see how easy it is to put things in perspective. This is why I thank God. Because your job, on top of doing this manipulation, to do horrible things to my body, you're supposed to create this facade. You're supposed to make me believe this fantasy that it was put together. But me saying Roy Moore was simple enough to just say, okay, say that name again. Okay, you know why I know that name? You know why. This is why you say it this way. That's why I know who put me in this program, and that's why I know what you are. You're just a bottom feeder. And by the way, they still try to say it in this very hard way to hear. And I'm glad that they do that because they prove my point over and over. Because when I say Roy Moore, I can say it multiple times. Let's say 4 times in just in dedication of the 4-year-old kid that we have testimony of being tortured. Roy Moore. Not hearing it? Roy Moore. Not hearing it? Roy Moore. One last time. Roy Moore. Okay. They can say it when I can't hear it. My point is, they have these facades that they try to create. And for me, what they know they're provoked by is I put them in reality that they should be put in. You are low life, trash, employed by this governmental entity that does some of the most horrible things that you can imagine. It's just surreal evil. Not because it's just happening to me, but because what they do. But then have the audacity to try to paint this fantasy. I'm looking at them, it's like, you know what you're associated with at this point? And the horrible the things they do, they don't do it. We're not talking about people who put themselves at risk. Huh? They're wearing PJs. Some of them don't even have to wear pants. My point is the technology is done remotely. They don't need to be present to do this thing. So wherever the comfort of their home, in my case, I guess, they have to dress comfortably because this is something they just observe and manipulate me to experience. They burn me remotely, or they do these things to my organs remotely, sitting in their couches or wherever they want to be in very comfortable settings, and can do these horrible things. Now with me, they want me to look at these people, like for example these people here. Like I said, they have this facade. It's like, you know what we're doing with you because what you've done to this person. For example, Courtney. I bring that person multiple times because this trash have the audacity to try to make it seem like they're doing it for this woman. For some reason, apparently, they're so willing to avenge Courtney that they got involved in a program where some of the most horrible atrocities are being done to women. Now, obviously, I know the reality of things. These people are just trash, low life. They're just opportunists. And so what they try to do is to try to validate them, not even vilify you, and then try to make it seem like they're doing this for this reason. But in fact, not only Courtney, but Brittany. Thankfully, I was able to talk to Brittany. She's living her life, doing her thing. But I'm like, oh, wow, you guys are so, wow, the darings. So you are involved in this program that do these horrible things to women for Courtney and Brittany. But you involve yourself in a program where these atrocities are happening to thousands of women all around the world. Thousands. And the things they do to them is just atrocities. It's destruction. It's crime against humanity type of level of torture and tormenting. So you look at these people, it's like, wow, there is some, wow, that is some manipulate, there is, how you can even trick yourself to think this way? That you'll be involving yourself in a program that can do these horrible things to women. But present it as if, oh, you're avenging for what you did to this woman, to that woman. They're living their life, but you're involving the program where so many women are talking about some of the horrible things they do to them. Do you understand the level of mind trickeries they do to themselves? And they're like, oh yeah, no, we dared. Oh, so let me just recap what you just said. You dare to involve yourself in a program where these horrible things is happening to women and children. To get to me. Wow. You're such a darer. You have dared to involve yourself in a program that is torturing women, causing them to lose their life, destruction of their life, struggling their tortures in ways that is so surreal. You're going to hear them, of course. We talk about things from rapes, burning genitals, this mental destruction, family destruction, destroying their family, making them homeless. I mean, what you can't even imagine. And so that's what's happening. You fucking delusional trash. If you ever, I will never let this bottom feels live that fantasy because I know the reality of what it is. What's happening to us, men, women, and children in this program is we're just used as test subject. The government is using us in this fashion, and they're using this technology onto us. They're using this technology as a weapon. They are destroying our body, our mind, and our finances, and everything else. And it's horrible. Now, for me, I gotta say this, and I'll make sure I bring that up. I am so thankful I got to see things for what they are before the day comes I can't. Even my mind right now is a battle because they still want to present themselves as this femme fatale, feminist, radical. We're so radical, we got involved in a program where you're going to hear these horrible things they do to women, to even children, but let's focus to women because somebody said something interesting here. This one of the people over there yelled something, "Oh, date rape." I'm like, what? And they talk about Courtney. Me and Courtney is somebody I met in college. We at the nights we met at the nightclub. Me and some friends, her friends, and then we all met to her place. And then we ended up to my place, and things we just we got intimate. And in the next day morning, we got intimate. But in the morning, that's where they're like, "Oh, was that appropriate? Right? Was that right? Was that wrong for doing that?" Then she stays around. We talk. She comes back and asks me for breakfast. And this whole interaction in the morning, that's where they're like, "Oh no, that was." I'm like, first of all, you are involved in this program. I will never let you speak the name of this woman when you know what you're involved in. So you want me to look at you and think, "Oh, you are involved in the program that is torturing women in this way," but I should look at you as this avenging woman? Trust you will destroy Courtney and her whole family, like the way you torture this woman. Now, let's get back to reality. You see the picture over there? There's a lot of women over there. They look in pain. There's a high percentage of women being tortured by this lowlife, by this program. A lot of women. You're going to hear that. Rape is commonly used. Rape is such a common tactic that this guy, Robert Dawkins, is going to say, hey, rape is being mentioned by a lot of target individuals, especially women. They are complaining about it the most. That rape is like a tool they use to break people down, especially women are complaining the most about it. And the thing about these people say, "Oh, this was they raped." I'm like, these people rapes are so common. All fashion of rapes. This man over there is called John Hall. John Hall is somebody who's been talking to target individuals all around the world, and he's actually somebody in the medical field. He's an anesthetist, right? He's actually a actual doctor. This is not some conspiracy theorist guy or what. He's a doctor. He wrote a book, right? Which you see chapter 12 over there, right? One of the books that a lot of target individuals have read. It's called A New Breed: Satellite Terrorism in America. In chapter 12, they have this like Rohypnol and satellites. And they talk about GHB, things I don't know, right? I looked it up. Those are like date rape drugs, by the way. That he spoke to so many women that mentioned that they were being drugged in this program. So the irony of these people talk about date rape drugs when there's a whole chapter about the drugs that you utilize in date rape. It's so common that this man wrote a whole chapter 12 about it. A whole chapter. Now, I'm not surprised they do these things. So you have this purpose here involving a program where rape is common. Matter of fact, even to the point where they talk about these drugs that is used for date rapes. That's so commonly used. There's a chapter about it. Talking about Courtney, he's like, no, that was it's like, yeah, you're involved in this and you try to, I will never let you live your fantasy. You involved in this. If you think that you can make yourself believe that you're doing it for Courtney when you're involved in a program that does these horrible things to women, and this date drug things is so common that there's a whole chapter about it, you're fucking delusional. If I'm going to let you live your fantasy. On top of that, they think, oh, look at me, I'm a woman. Not only I'm a woman, look at the type of woman I am. That because of that, you should fucking believe me as this feminist, and we're daring feminists, we canceled you trash, you can't even say Roy Moore. And what you do to women is so horrible. These people should be hung for being involved in something that can do some horrible things to women, and that they do atrocities. Forget about it. It's beyond just, it's destruction. But they do this in the comfort of the most comfortable ways. So you can see some childlike trash doing this. Showing how horrible and easy it is to do what they do. You see the faces of these women. This is just a small fraction. This small percentage. There's so many women being out here raped. The last one I was listening to is this woman called Megan, right? She talks about how she wakes up. Doesn't even wakes. She gets her genital tortured to the point where they burn her genitals via this technology. She goes into shock. Now, this is not unique. There's so many women talk about how they get discharges, yeast infection, there's some kind of electrocutions in the genitals, in the rectum, all kind of horrible sexual torture. Some women literally say, hey, I've woken up bleeding, in pain. Try to go to the doctors. No, the doctor refused to give me a rape kit. This is crazy. And it's a trend of how horrible they are to women. Horrible. So all of a sudden, I'm supposed to block it out. Boom, boom, boom. Just forget about this. But these people involved in a program where the only reason they're able to do that to me is because they're involved in a program that rapes women and tortures children. No way. You don't enjoy these incentives, participate in this thing, and want me to look at you as you care. Don't even speak about Courtney. Don't even speak about Brittany, because I know what you will do to these women. Brittany, thank God I talked to this woman. Thank God. I can really pull up a freaking message on Facebook and say, hey, Brittany, how are you? How's everything with you? She's good. Life is good. Living my life. And I was like, hey, remember we used to party, because there's this thing that me and her, And I was like, hey, last time I talked to you, we were at this party. He's like, how's everything? Oh, yeah, no, it's a long time. Yeah, no more party. No more wild parties, girl parties. I'm no longer this wild girl who parties. Things have changed our family. I was like, oh, it's good to know. You have a beautiful family, and it looks like you guys are happy. He's like, yeah, I'm living my best life. That's their life. Listen to the testimony of women. My point is, you're involved in something that destroys the life of this woman. I will never let you speak for this woman. Ever. I'm not, you know how they try to block this? Oh, you're such a wise. No, I'm not wise. I'm just saying people who are involved in something that can do these horrible things to women, involved in a program, somehow try to compartmentalize this thing where, okay, I'm going to be involved in this program that is obviously doing some atrocities, atrocious things to women. Right? But let me block that out. Make myself believe that I'm just avenging for this woman that I don't give a fuck about. I don't give a shit about. Because I obviously don't give a shit about this woman over there being fried up, raped, and tortured. And be like, I'll do it for that. You pay for that. Pay. You fucking trash. You're involved in a program that destroys the life of so many women. So many women are being destroyed. And I use the word destruction because that's what's happening. These technologies apply to us to destroy our life. And then they study how they can do this better, more efficiently. And they create this facade that is so grotesque, especially when you're going to hear what they do. Let me pull out this chapter 12 and try to read. I'm sorry for my reading. It's not the best, especially in the States. So they talk about, I think the second chapter is like, Rohypnol combined with satellite control is even more menacing problem. In most cases, the drug is placed in the drink of the victim in a bar room setting. Orderless, testless, it goes unnoticed until the victim awakens to find sign of assault, with little or no recall to initiate a legal investigation. If that's not horrible enough, compound the problem with someone already the victim of satellite mind control. No longer would the victim have to be abducted or raped in a parking lot. They're drugged and raped at home. There's testimonials of that. This is a chapter. And it's different version of rape. Sometimes they are aware that something's happened to genitals, but there's nobody present. So they get these feelings in these genitals, this pain, these needles, this burn on the genitals. But there's nothing you can do because it's not coming from somebody, like in front of you, in your presence. They just deal with the burns and the pain and the feelings and the sensation and stimulations. I myself experienced that. But there's nobody around. So for me, I'm like, I'm going to keep saying this thing because I know my voice is about to go away. I'm like, well, let me bless you guys with this. I'm going to keep talking about this because you are watching me, right? Observing me. I just want to make sure that, because as they do these foul things to us, they want to live this deluded reality. They know this their day comes, right? One way or another. There's going to be some reimbursement. There will be a reimbursement. They will pay for what they involve themselves in. But in the meantime, as they do these things to me, you think I'm going to be like, oh yeah, you care about women, huh? You care about this poor woman. Okay. You know, when I bring up the testimonials of these women, they start making themselves cry like a fairy tale. Oh, we feel so bad. It's like, no, I know you don't feel bad. I don't care. But, well, actually, I know they feel bad. They feel bad about something else. You know what they feel bad about? They feel bad that it's just validation that they torture women. So they feel bad about the testimonials. They feel bad that there's a testimonial of women saying this is happening. And clearly the government is doing that. If they feel bad that it doesn't look like the way they wanted to present things. They wanted to make this look like this femme fatale, avenging women. Avenging fierce, daring women. No, you're not. Obviously, you're not. Look at what you're involved in. You dare to involve yourself in a program that does these horrible things to women, and when you're involved in this, you're darer. So what happens to the people who you are in the same program as you doing that to women? Are they not daring anymore? Because if you're daring involved in the same program that torture women and children, and let's just say you didn't participate in the torture of these women and children, are the people that are in the same program as you doing that to women and children, are they daring too? Delusional shit. They're just like you, they're piece of shit just like you. You know, I hear the officers talking, oh, you're gonna fight. I was like, okay. They attack women. They torture women in ways that's horrible. And then they try to be like, oh, sorry. I'm like, really? Are you saying sorry for what? Like Brittany? Because you obviously care about that woman so much, right? You're such a danger. You daring to involve yourself in a program that can literally burn the genitals of women. And somehow don't care too much about that part. Nah, I care. Because I see what you're involved in. You get yours. I'm just thankful that I got to see things for what they are. Now listen to what they do to women. We're going to start with the common thing they do to women. You heard that before, right? Rape. Rape is commonly utilized to break down target individual. You're going to hear that. Especially women are going to say that. Then you're going to hear that this thing where they try to create a psyop, make it seem like it's anything but this massive government doing that. The next door 14-year-old kid, the neighbors, the occult. The trick, create all kind of storylines to try to make it seem like, oh, no, this is not, we're not the government doing that too. And then we're going to start listening to women literally saying what's happening to them. Starting with Megan, how she wakes up, burned her genitals, they're burning they're doing horrible things to her genitals. Always degrading sexual torture. Then you hear this Lisa Baker in 2015 saying, you know, the Department of Defense is doing this to us, and most of us are defenseless women. And she talks about being electrocuted in the genitals. Then you hear a specific sexual torture of Mariana, talk about how they do discharges, sexual torture, burn her genitals to make her discharge, yeast infection. You're going to hear this woman talk about how they do the anal area, rectum area torture, and so on and so on. I will never let people involved in this all of a sudden leave this fantasy. And then you're going to hear this man here, Dr. Hall. You see this man? He's the one who wrote this chapter over there. He's the one who wrote this book. He talked to about 1,500 people, all saying the same things. He's the one who's the writer of this book over there. And he noticed a trend that they use these drugs, and he has a whole chapter about it. That on top of these drugging tactics, they can do this this control of the mind with using this technology. That the drug is meant to like make somebody pass out, but on top of that, you understand? It's disgusting. But for me, they say like, oh, because we're women, look at us. Really? There's a woman clearly say there's a lot of females involved in this. With me, it's so funny. It's like, oh, we're females, but we're different type of females. Look at us. When we're doing that as females, we're different. And there's a little undertone of certain things that you understand. It's part of the facade. They really try to play with these psychological games with, oh, look at us, how to present. We mean this progressive, fierce, radical group. Yeah, right. Trash us. You can't even say Roy Moore. I'm so glad that this name is something I can use to put things in perspective. Matter of fact, somebody just say what I'm saying. That's how you kind of say it. So radical. proving how radical they are. Let me try it. Roy Moore. As expected, I'm hearing it clearly, and they can say it. Yep, somebody just tried to say Roy, and then the rest they try to make me imagine. Another try, just to put them down one more time. Roy Moore. They're waiting for me to speak so they can say that in this radical way. I'm so thankful I got to see things for what they are. Listen, I know me humiliating them is going to cause more pain. But how can I let them go into the escapism? They even talk about, we canceled you. You canceled me? You can't even say that name. These kids here involved in this. I've been groomed to say a name like that in such a careful way. I'm sorry, but listen, whatever death I'm going to go through, I know it's going to be horrible, but at least I didn't live life having to counter the reality of what you're going to hear. And try to make myself believe that I'm somebody else. I'm believe that I'm in some different program. To try to stop people thinking the reality of what it is. That I'm involved in a program that is causing atrocities of women. And then speak about women that they don't give a fuck about. And I'm using that aggressive word because I know they don't care about them. It disgusts me. Because you could not be caring about these women when you're involved in a program that torture women in this fashion. But also then, because you can use that as a way to make your delusional reality come true. Never. Not with me. Please listen to this.
I mean, if you talk to the victims, the TIs, one of the worst breakdowns, and it's pretty common. I think I can say the word simulated rape, and forced orgasm.
You can say anything you want. This is the internet.
Okay. And so simulated orgasms and rape is extremely common, and especially violating for women. They complain about that torture breakdown the most. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
But I was going to be shot in the face. And it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, she's going to be shot in the face. Sound like an angry ass old person. Then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Don't get shot in the face. Stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is with the voices go, it's a bunch of females. And I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think it's nothing wrong with them?
On the global mapping of that system. And when I worked for the Defense Department, she worked on the global mapping of that system. And when I told her what I was going through, all she could say was, "You're on your own." Well, I figured that out. If you would please, I urge you to pass this. I realize you can't enforce it, but if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women.
Hey, I just woke up after a pretty rough night. The same thing happened last night as the night before, which was whenever I was trying to go to sleep, the private parts of my body began being burned again, and I guess what it's called organized stalking. I'm called a targeted individual. But the abuse last night was pretty extreme. I can feel it's going to be the same again today. Already on the harming of the private parts of my body. I don't really know what to do. I tried to go to a doctor to get some kind of pain medicine because what actually happens to me, what is happening to me is my actual physical body is being burned. And so it causes me to go into shock, and it's excruciatingly painful. And I have my limitations on the type of the duration and length of pain that I can handle. So today just kind of just feeling some pretty general fear about my own safety. Because the government's burning the private parts of my body. Sometimes it feels like a laser.
Many combinations of sensory and motor manipulation of my mind, highly perverted, involving many combinations of sensory and motor manipulation of my mind and body, and of the people around me. This includes many different types of zaps to varying degrees to the genitals, butt, anus, and the entire pelvic area. This also includes many kinds of movements, such as the rocking, swaying, jolting, vibrating, and shaking of my entire body or various body parts, specifically in a sexual way. The severe vibration is a highly noxious stimuli and is very intolerable. They sometimes do pulses or throbbing sensations on the genitals too, etc. There are also body movements such as rocking my pelvic area back and forth, repeated rubbing sensations, the sensation of something going up my crotch and in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults are present throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. Anything electronic. They have even locked me out of my office building that uses an electronic key. It is often very difficult and an immense battle just to even sit on the toilet to go to the bathroom. Not only because of the bowel and bladder manipulation, but also because of the frequent severe sexual assaults on the genitals, my butt and anus, shaking, vibrating, and rocking my body back and forth, and forced eyeball movements, and phantom touch sensations doing rubbing sensations, etc.
Hi, Ms. Lewis.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Cassandra Lewis, and I'm a targeted individual from Baltimore, Maryland. My story may sound disjointed. I'm trying to keep it within the minute and a half. I worked as a legal secretary at Hogan & Hartson in Washington, D.C. It is now called Hogan Lovells. Attorney Jan McDavid made a client mistake that she tried to blame on me. I then refused to work for Ms. McDavid. Shortly thereafter, strange and inexplicable events occurred on my job, and after being fired, followed me to my home and to all my travels. Attorney Christopher J. Hagan, formerly of Hogan & Hartson, Mr. Samuel Conrad, he's a retired security administrator of Hogan & Hartson, and Robert Johnston, who is the current firm administrator of Hogan Lovells, are responsible for my targeting. I believe to protect Ms. McDavid's reputation, a phone call was made to whom and why they did this to me. I truly just speculate. Gang stalking and harassment was used to implement this non-consensual biotechnology application that is being used on me. I now experience involuntary limb movements. I receive stingings. I get pains to my head, to my abdomen, to my vaginal area, and to my anal area. I am receiving...
You mean as far as the Justice Department feeling me?
Well, in terms of you being a victim.
You mean what I'm feeling?
Yeah, explain a little bit to me how you perceive yourself as being?
I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, how do I know you didn't do that to yourself? How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations, not 1 but 2. The one physician said, you're mentally sound as a bell. He said, I don't have any idea what's going on with you. When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock of my rectum. I get electric shock of my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both of my hands. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2976 that if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy.
Weapons. Any one of you in this audience is able to be able to help this problem and this issue will have to have more knowledge on what psychotronic weapons are. I am physically leashed from my neck to the electromagnetic power of one of the weapons that is being used against me. I get tortured day and night. At night is with nightmares and all kinds of dreams that I don't want in my head. And throughout the day is my body. They fraud with my neurological system, so they do anything to my body.
Mr. Brian Wrong? Miss Anya Briggs?
My name is Anya Briggs, and I am a private citizen and resident of New York City. I have been and continue to be experimented on against my will and without my permission as a human test subject and as a targeted individual forced into trauma-based mind control programs. Because of this ongoing experimentation, torture, and abuse since 2008 and before, I have endured the following physical and psychological symptoms. In a way, I'm very sorry to address you like this because I think that what you're doing is very admirable. But I'm here to represent this other group, and I am also targeted, and this is my story. My name is Sandra Fields. I'm an architect, recipient of Who's Who of Women in America Achievement Award, and have run a successful business for over 28 years. My life and livelihood have been compromised for the last 11 years by being attacked by electromagnetic radiation torture and by organized stalking. I cannot live in my rent-stabilized apartment in New York City as a result of this torture. I'm currently staying in motels and friends' houses in the last year. Thousands of Americans...
And I'm a victim of organized
We need this to stop.
electronic harassment. And I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the U.S., in Illinois, and I'm a victim of organized
We need this to stop.
electronic harassment, microwave torture.
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
Please become more aware of this crime and those that the crime is being committed against. We need your support and help in ending this crime.
Hello, my name is Wendy Brown. I'm a targeted individual who is living in New Zealand, but my targeting began in California. I'm an American citizen, and the targeting continues in New Zealand. I'm making this video in remembrance of Targeted Individual Day, our third annual Targeted Individual Day. And I'm asking that every honest-hearted human being open their eyes to a crime.
My name is Jeanette. I am 56 years old and I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a victim of covert electronic harassment and torture. I am a targeted individual.
Wishes to hand down.
Why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. is brutally painful. I have a house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, first floor, second floor, 2 garage, backyard, land, everything. Can't live in my house. My neighbors are shooting direct energy weapons through my house. I hold my heart like this. You know why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. Come get me. Oh, Lord, because I think I'm dying.
And they had, all of a sudden, I had been there like 4 or 5 days, and then used their telephone so I could make airline, flight, because all I wanted to do was leave Chicago. And so I figured I'd make my plans in a hotel. I didn't think that they could hack the hotel. I was very naive back then. I didn't understand the full technology spectrum or even interest, and all I wanted to do was leave. So I was at a hotel on a relatively high floor, and they had... all of a sudden, I had been there like 4 or 5 days, and the night before I was attacked really bad, I noticed a maintenance man about 10 or 11 o'clock at night messing with all of the lights up and down the hallway. And as, I'm sorry, I get kind of upset when I think about this because it's really messed up. And my spidey sense went off, and I was really kind of nervous about like what the hell he was doing out there, because he was kind of a sinister, he was real creepy kind of person. So so the next night, I believe it was a Friday night, I went to bed. I had all of the doors, all the locks on the door, even the one that kind of like goes over that you can't open from the outside. I had everything locked up. Figured I was safe. I went to bed maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, bleeding out of every hole, sick. Someone was in my room, or had been in my room. Food was missing. My dogs were traumatized. I had been obviously sexually assaulted in all the worst ways possible. I got up, first thing I did was vomit. And all I wanted to do was I was just in shock. There was a do not disturb sign on my door, and I didn't do this. And there was lotion all over my bathroom floor. All I wanted to do was just get on a plane and get the hell away from everybody. And I was, very, very sick and in a lot of pain. I had already been denied a rape kit when I owned my house, and woke up, and my hair had obviously been pulled out, and there were earplugs in my bed. And I felt like someone had done something. I went to Payless Community Hospital, under the directions of a non-compromised police officer who told me that if anything happened, to go right to the hospital. So I did. And I had a compromised doctor who treated me like a third-rate citizen and said she would give me an STD test and a drug test. But she refused me a rape kit. And so I had already been kind of traumatized with hospitals anyway. And honestly just wanted to leave.
Okay, so you get a glimpse of what they do to women. Matter of fact, the last testimony is this woman called Katrina. Unfortunately, she was under the thought that this is like a satanic culture which is run by women, and the truth is obviously it's governmental entities doing that, right? Because she was saying that there's a lot of females also involved in her tortures. Like, she calls that out. Right, but the truth is, obviously, governmental entities are doing these things to us, and they're just using us as just like test subject. As I was listening to that, they were trying to find ways to counter. They're like, it's funny. Sometimes they try to counter, but in their countering of, and what I mean by counter, right? They still want me to somehow picture them as this avenging group of female. That you deserve this. forget about how these women are being tortured and the atrocities. Matter of fact, as I talk about atrocity, let me just add this last one little testimonial, because she kind of talks about it in a way that it just gives you a good glimpse of the level of struggle they go through. Listen.
Kimberly Buckner, and I have been a targeted individual for a very long time. The things I have experienced due to being targeted, they have been unreal. But however, I can personally attest that this is very real indeed. My life has been destroyed in every possible way, and every day has been a struggle for me. I'm very grateful to be before you today due to Amy Anderson's due diligence and to everyone else involved. I thank you, council members, for giving us targeted individuals a chance to speak and to be heard. And I pray that these atrocities will soon be brought to an end. But we need your help. Thank you.
So, like I was saying, this purpose doing that to me, say, we dare to involve ourselves in a program that causes no atrocities to only men, children, but also women. Right? And so what I mean by countering, right, is because they still want you to perceive them, this participant in this program that does these horrible things to a lot of women, in this fashion of like they're avenging, we're just dared to be involved in something like that. But in fact, at one point, they're like, no, we even support these women. It's trash. You support them by involving yourself in a program that tortures them. It's so disgusting. But the way they try to even counter is like they'll make me think, for example, for Brittany, right? Interestingly enough, one of these perps now in my targeting, who very much enjoy being a perp, was an old friend of mine. And when they try to vilify me toward Brittany, for example, I'm not perfect. I know what I did, what I've done. I've not done. Listen, I'm not been perfect, and these things I look back. I was like, what was I thinking? But in the things they try to vilify me, he's involved in it. Matter of fact, he doesn't even try to the things is so disgusting. It's like, okay, he's involved in my targeting, and you're out here saying we're doing it for Brittany. Matter of fact, he's probably didn't even check on her if in regard to how she's. Matter of fact, they said that he's next. No, he's not. He's actually getting the incentives, and got the incentives that he was getting. He's doing well. As a father, in his family, he's doing, at least financial wise, or at least functioning wise. And no, he's not. He's just like you. He has the opportunity. He was an opportunist. Got the incentives he got of it. Enjoyed it. And your dumbass now look like stupid. They look like. Sorry. Now these people try to make me feel guilty. It's like you understand that you can make me. You are here trying to make it seem like you're doing for this woman, but this guy who was there with me is a perp, and a happy perp in his perping. And yes, unfortunately for these people, I was able to talk to Brittany, who's living her best life. Now, these people involved in this program try to be, no, for Brittany, what you did there was, listen, you are doing these horrible things to women. I can't let you live your fantasy. Not you. It's like me. Let's just say I kill all kind of like, like I don't know who like, okay, I'm out here killing anybody who's from, I'm just gonna come up with some random things. So some British men, right? Right, I'm just saying some random. I'm in a program that kills a bunch of British men, and then I see you. It's like, me involved in a program that is killing a bunch of British white men. I'm looking at you. That British, you did wrong to that British person over there. Me involved in this program that is destroying the life of these British men in different ways. Now I want you to feel guilty and vilify you for how you did something wrong to this British person, this British man. My point is it's comical. Because you guys are the one destroying the life of women, torturing them, and also then try to use whoever you can try to use to vilify me. No, it's not going to come from people who are involved in this. I'm so thankful. I wish I could get a hold of Courtney, but unfortunately it's never going to happen. But Brittany, yes. Message. How's everything? How's life? Yeah, you're doing well? Do you remember me? It's like, yes, yeah, I remember you. How's everything? Yeah, I'm good. I will never stand here to be perfect. I've done things I look back, I'm like, what was I thinking? But I can look at myself and always know that I've never been involved in anything that can be even destructive to anybody. Forget about even involve myself in anything that's close to destructive in anything. While these people are trying to make me feel guilty, vilify me, while they involved in a program where they know this horrible atrocity is being applied toward women. In every fashion, rape, drug, rape. Oh, matter of fact, let's go back to this person who wrote this book. Listen to him speak on the bioethics. The bioethic meeting that happened in 2011, where a bunch of target individuals, which you heard some of those testimony saying this is happening to us because we're being used as test subjects. Listen to him. His name is, let him introduce himself.
My name is Dr. John Hall. I'm a medical doctor from Texas. As I understand the memorandum from the president, it's for you to determine if current legislation is adequate in protecting individuals and if there's any ongoing experimentation. In reviewing the common rule, it's very obvious that there's a lot of loopholes to informed consent. All of the horrific experiments you've mentioned, Willowbrook, MK Ultra, radiation experiments, mostly were done without informed consent. They were funded by the DoD and intelligence agencies, where I'm not even so sure you would know if there's an IRB, much less if an IRB is looking at informed consent. As a physician, relative to some of what you're hearing today, in the community, we are seeing an alarming rate of complaints of use of electromagnetic weapons, microwave auditory effects, silent sound spectrum, EEG cloning, which has taken the lab out of the laboratory and into the home. Most of these, from the research that we reviewed, can be done remotely. It seems to be more weapons research than medical research. I personally corresponded with upwards of 1,500 victims, all complaining of identical complaints from every state in the nation of being exposed to electromagnetic radiation, non-ionizing radiation for the use of cognitive control or behavior control. I submitted a paper to you, and there's another paper submitted to each member from another physician in Kansas City, alluding to the same thing.
So this is the doctor, medical doctor, who wrote this book that you see here based on his interviewing other people, and he has a whole chapter 12, about these drugs that's supposed to be date drugs or date rape drugs. A whole chapter about it. Now, I'm making this video without seeing what I'm going to use as a cover, like as a page. I just decided to add what you're seeing here now is like in conversation with me with this person called Brittany, right? And they were trying to have this battle back and forth, like, you don't be not pay. Like, you've heard what they do. Brittany's out here living her best life with her family, and I know they don't care about her at all. Matter of fact, they hate the fact that I was able to get a hold of her. They hate that because they want you to live this fantasy, and by any means they want to live that fantasy, which I refuse to do that for them. They wanted to enjoy these things that destroy women. And I remember the day I started talking to this woman, one of these people got so frustrated, she ran out. Can you imagine being frustrated that, oh man, he's going to make us look bad because he obviously this person is living life, doesn't care about. They were like, oh my gosh, time heals all. They were trying to say things like that. Oh my gosh, clown. No. You're the one trying to come up with this fantasy. She didn't need no healing or anything. She's living life. I was not expecting or anything. And you see here, she's living life normally, and I'm not. But these people are so clown-like that they would come up with stories, because the reality is what they're part of is that. But they wanted me to go through this thinking this fantasy that they put together. Never. Target individuals see this low life where they are. And for me, when they say these things, and there's whole chapters about how they use drugs of that nature to rape these women, it's comical. You see how ironic everything is? I will never let them live their escapism. Never.